Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of our Justice and Pieces guest speaker series. Today, we are joined by Hetham, who is a paralegal student at the program in London for the Trials College, but he has a lot he is doing outside of the school. He is the executive director of RRAI, which is Rights and Responsibility Awareness Initiative out in London. He's going to tell us all about that, and as well as his incredible journey in getting here to the city of London in Ontario and getting into the program here. So thank you so much for joining us. And maybe you can tell us a little bit more about yourself there to begin with.
Thank you very much, John Paul, and thank you for Justice and Pieces for hosting me tonight. It's wonderful to be here. Well, as you said, my name is Hetham Karky. I came from Jordan as an immigrant to Canada with a legal background there. And as you all know, Canada is a common law jurisdiction. Jordan is a civil law jurisdiction. So because of that, unfortunately, my legal degree was not accredited. So I was starting to find some way to enter the legal field here in Canada. And I found actually several ways to do so. One of them was providing interpretation for legal clinics, law offices, and such institutions, as well as legal awareness. I came from Jordan to Western University as a visiting scholar. I used to teach at university in Jordan. So, and I've noticed that the legal clinic is something unique to someone who came from a civil law jurisdiction. We don't have something like that. And day by day, I start to realize the importance of legal awareness. Some information could be really critical. Some of them could be really a life threat if you don't know how to act. Some of them could lead you to a lot of trouble if you don't know how to act in a certain situation. As we all know, there's a difference between legal systems. So what could be prohibited in a place could be totally allowed in another place. Examples are a lot. So from that perspective, I've noticed that newcomers especially, and in so many cases, many of people don't know much about their rights. Many of them missing their rights, something they are entitled to, just simply because they don't know they are entitled to this thing. So I started by submitting a proposal through a neighborhood decision making. This is an initiative conducted by the City of London. That was in 2019. And that initiative was put into voting after the city staff find it feasible and reasonable. It got, as I remember, 264 votes from the local people in our neighborhood. And based on that, the City of London provided me with funds to conduct awareness sessions on different legal topics. And that was the start. After I was so happy by getting that fund and being recognized by the City of London and get the support of the community, the COVID came and changed everything. First lockdown, as I remember, it was the March 2020. And I was so excited because almost everything was really settled and everything was ready to go. And then the government stopped everything and they just locked us down at our homes. Start with the online learning, which has a lot to do about it, but it's not our topic today. Maybe it could be discussed in another occasion. And that then I would start to think about it. Okay, about the sustainability of that movement. Okay, it's now funded by the city. What after? What after we done with that? It's a one-term project. So what become of us after that point in time. So then I decide to register it as a not-for-profit. We did register it as a not-for-profit, and due to the COVID, of course, that takes a lot of time. Then when we've got our registration, we've been incorporated as a not-for-profit. We've applied for our charitable status, and after almost 11 months, we got our charitable status. So far, uh, I'm so proud with what RRAI achieved. I do have a small presentation. If I may share some information about it, it would be great.
Okay, perfect. Let's go right into that then, and then I'll have some questions kind of following up on some of the stuff you mentioned there. So let's look at the presentation. I think you should be able to share your screen.
By all means, I'm sharing my screen now. Can you confirm that screen shared?
Yep, it looks like it's all good on my end. So take it away there.
Okay, well, as you can see, rights and responsibilities awareness initiative is a community-based initiative incorporated as a registered charity, and we are aiming to spread legal, financial, and cultural awareness of to the Ontario community. We have conducted public awareness campaign based on the needs of the Ontario community to educate people about their rights and responsibilities with respect to the Canadian laws, regulations, financials, and cultures. Our pillars are community, education, diversity, and justice. Community, we're working towards a better and stronger community. Education, we're providing legal, financial, and cultural awareness. Diversity, our services are open for all. Everyone is welcome. And we do believe that public education is a step to justice. We have our advisory committee, which diversified committee from a community facilitator. They are representing all minority groups in our community. We have members from different cultural and ethnic backgrounds, and those facilitators' mandate is to connect us with their community and provide us with what information might be needed to serve those communities in a better way. As I mentioned before, we've started as an initiative funded and supported by the Neighbourhood Decision Making. It's one of the City of London initiatives. We've conducted a small project and we consider it as a pilot project, and we are so eager to get benefit from that experience and take this project as a pilot project, aiming to develop our mandates and methods. Currently, I'm so happy to announce that the Rights and Responsibilities Awareness Initiative was recognized as a winner by the City of London for the Diversity, Race Relation and Inclusivity Award that was announced last week. So far, we've conducted 22 sessions. Those sessions attended by almost 600 people, and those 600 people provide almost 380 feedback forms. As you can notice from this chart, most of our sessions are legal, and then the financial sessions, and last but not least, the socials. In legal topics, we've, for example, we've covered some topics about landlord and tenant, wills and powers of attorney, access to justice, small claims court, wrongful dismissal, and some other legal topics. In finance, resilient, we provide some sessions about how to build credit in Canada, how to pay your taxes in Canada, which better to rent a home or to buy a home, what kind of tips you might use if you decide to buy your home, We've conduct as well as something could be in between the legal and financial about the identity theft, which is a very important topic recently. And for the social things, we've conducted some sessions about the impact of cultural shock on a migrant family, how to raise your kid in a different country, cultural adoption, and the importance of diversity within the Canadian community. So far, RRAI is supported by the City of London and some other institution among our community. I will mention, for example, Noki Kwei. It's a very indigenous community organization. London Police Service, Community Legal Service at Western, University Heights Public School, Neighborhood Legal Services, and the Canadian Arab Society of London, and Employment Solution, and other businesses too. So the point is how we can get help. We actually could get help by two things. We could have volunteers with rights and responsibilities, and I'll now say how we could use that volunteering effort. And of course, we can, as a registered charity, we are entitled to collect donations from businesses and individuals. So we need volunteers to speak at our awareness sessions. We would love to cover more topics by experienced people in the field, people who are entitled to speak and to spread that public knowledge, and they have the ability and the qualifications to do so. We're actually trying to expand the topics we are covering now, and we are trying to get into more needed information by the community. We're thinking about doing a survey that could establish a database of what kind of information are needed by the community. So we will design our awareness session based on those needs. So it would be a better service for this community, as well as we could use help with coordination of those awareness sessions and spreading the awareness materials. All efforts need some help, and with this support, I'm so proud with the amount of volunteers we have so far. As a team, we are doing a fantastic job. So from here, I would like to express my serious grateful to all those efforts that help this dream to become true. And of course, we would like to have more volunteers, more supporters, more people who could help us in serving this community as it should be, and helping us make Canada a better place and welcoming place for everyone based on the information we provide. As I mentioned at the beginning, some of those information might be really critical. I might give some examples later on, but it's a very important thing, and it's something could save some lives. As I mentioned before, we could benefit greatly from financial and in-kind donation from businesses and individuals. We are charity registered under the Canada Revenue Agency's laws and regulations. So we would benefit, of course, from any donation, and that donations will allow us to issue a receipts for tax deductions too. This is what I do have in brief about the RRAI, and I would love to hear if there is any questions, comments. Floor is yours.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Hetham there for sharing all about that. So let's kind of back up actually before we kind of talk more about the RRAI. What was it like? I mean, a lot of students, I mean, many newcomers here to Canada. I mean, in terms of making that transition, as you said, from from Jordan over here, how did you find kind of, given what you were doing there, in your career, making that transition and starting over essentially here in Canada?
Well, it's a challenging thing actually, to be honest with you. So once you left everything overseas and came to start a new life, new country, new community, and of course, that might lead to a lot of things. For example, the cultural shock is one of them. The weather shock is one of them. In Jordan, you will never have a minus 30 degree in winter. You might have a snow one, maximum 2 days in winter, and if that snow fall and cover the streets, the government will allow it, will declare it a public day off. So there is a big difference. So from that perspective, you would have two options. One is to move, to plan your way and move forward into getting what could be possible for you, taking into consideration that, of course, everyone has a different circumstances and different obligations. Second is just to surrender and sit down, put your hands on your cheek and start claiming, and fortunately, I was from the first time. I never gave up. So I realized that if I would like to have my law degree accredited, it would be a hard, long process, which currently I'm not ready for it. So I'd rather to take a step forward. For me, it's much, much better than just sit down and wait that for that miracle to happen.
So initially you came here and you were studying there at Western. What was that like? I mean, I know obviously you were teaching in Jordan, so maybe you can talk a bit about your teaching experience and then what it was like over at Western first initially when you first were here.
Yeah, well, actually, I came in Jordan. I could identify myself as a competition law expert. My expertise was at the competition law, which is a law that ensures that all market transactions are going according to the normal supply and demand without having, for example, anti-competitive practice, abuse of dominant position, or any other occasions that might affect the normal market supply and demand. So, and I had an opportunity to came to Western University in 2018 for 3 months as a visiting scholar. I was conducting a research. It was about the impact of international competition network on members' legislations. And after those 3 months was finished, I had the opportunity to establish some good relationship with the community legal service director and staff. So when I've decided to move to Canada permanently, actually they welcomed me as a scholar there to study the impact of legal clinic on legal education. So now the legal clinic students are applying their practical knowledge. There's the theoretical part of the GD program or whatever if it is, MA or even a PhD, and then there is the practical side, which the students put all of that knowledge into practice, of course, under the supervision of the legal clinic staff. So my objective for that study was to find what kind of impact the legal clinic might have on the legal education. And actually, this study is currently it's submitted for publication, and we're just waiting for the reviewers' comments.
Yeah, maybe I know obviously you're waiting for a publication, but maybe you can tell us a little bit more. I mean, I know, for example, I'm on the board of directors of the Durham Community Legal Clinic, and I know firsthand the utmost importance of clinics to the community. But I'm curious to see sort of the intersection. I know when I was in law school at Osgood, they also had the same types of programs and how beneficial it was for those who were working there, while students kind of get that practical side. But what can you share from kind of your research? I know not yet published yet, but just some
Yeah.
highlights there in terms of the importance of making that connection.
Well, actually, I found it as a unique method to serve the community first, because I've noticed that the legal fees in Canada is not affordable by everyone. So that might provide a very an access to justice to a certain group of people who could not, for example, provide or have the legal service due to their financial obligations. At the same time, it gives the students the opportunity to apply their knowledge that they gain from their courses. I've noticed from the students' perspective, it was actually, by the way, that study was based on a survey spreaded into Western students, and as I recall now, almost 120 students participated in that study. So from their perspective, the legal clinic actually impact very positively their public speaking skills, their personal interaction, their communication skills, their attention to the details. They do have, based on their work now, more confident going into the legal world, which is, we've heard it all. And actually, I've heard it in Jordan after I graduated, and first day I came to my mentor office, who trained me on the as a lawyer. He told me, well, first step, forget everything you have been taught in the school and let's start from the scratch. And unfortunately, and that was in Jordan, it was true, because uh, you study the theoretical part of the, for example, as the civil law, they have, for example, an identification for the contract elements. They have a clear written examples of everything. Not so now you are taking all of that knowledge and put it into a real contract. By reading it, you will find the strong point, the weakness point, how you could use those points in a favor of your clients, which is, we did not get that knowledge into the school. In Canada, it's almost the opposite, because the students now gain some practical knowledge. So at least, and this is, by the way, confirmed by the students who participate in that study, they at least they will not have that shock of forget everything you have been told at the school and let's start from the scratch. That won't happen with a component of legal clinic. And I really wish that we could have something like that in Jordan.
Now, Hetham, the other thing there, I mean, I know you did a great presentation there, just in covering the RRAI and all the things that you've done. What kind of led you now? I mean, you're looking at clinics there in London. What kind of led you to start this organization, especially in the middle of a pandemic, nonetheless? And now, how did you kind of get all the pieces going together? And over the last year now, organize all these sessions, and what's kind of worked for you, and what's sort of been the response from those in the community of what is available?
Well, actually, what makes me started this is that I realized that there is a very strong need for the legal information. There is a different categories of legal positions for people in Canada. For example, People who came as immigrants, as a permanent residents, are taught they have a different legal system uh, rather than, for example, people who came on a study visa or a work visa. Every one of those is a different and special category. So I do remember that, for example, when I went to register my kids at the school, I just go there with my permanent residency card, while the lady who was at the door with me, she provide a long list of documents, including her work permit and work visa and a lot of things, you know. So there's a different, so what, if I ask that lady, I think about that. So if I ask that lady, okay, lady, what kind of documents I might need to register my kids at the school, she will provide me with a long list of documents. I will never need any of them. So there is, okay, it's plus everything is written there, but I'm not sure we always read. We listen. People like to listen. People don't like to read. So, and because of the differences by the legal systems, that could be a serious issue. I'll give you an example. In Jordan, for example, if a policeman stops you, you need to step down from your car as a sign of respect. You may argue with him, for example, why did you give me the ticket? I was not in a speed. And he will argue back. I do remember one of my friends, when he stepped down from his car, the policeman touched his gun. Imagine if my friend, you know, put his hands inside his pocket in order to bring to get his ID. A disaster might happen. So this person need to know, when you stopped by police, just sit down, keep your hands visible, and all of that stuff that might save lives. I'll give you another example, more common. In Jordan, according to the criminal code, I am totally entitled to discipline my son in any way I see fit, including physical punishment. So I'm totally fine if I give him a slap in the middle of the road. It's the law. I'm not with that law. I'm totally against it. I don't believe at all that this is a method. The physical or corporal punishment should be the method of treatment between parents and kids. But at the end of the day, it is the law. You like it, you don't like it, it's a different story, but this is the law. So imagine if I get this information within my head and my son did something I didn't like and I hit him in the street, what could happen? A serious issue. There is a different family law legislations too. Most of the Middle East countries are taking their family law from the Islamic law, the Sharia law. Here, situation is totally different. So during the marriage, during the separation, so, and people get, you know, in a lot of trouble because they don't know that. So many people, they don't know that you cannot have two wives in Canada. And if you do so, that this is a criminal charge. While in Jordan, you can have up to, or more, not only in Jordan, in most of Islamic countries, except Tunisia, you can have up to 4 wives if you can handle them.
Yeah, no, it's one of the things that I teach in, I think it's intro to legal, or at the very beginning of the program, and it comes up a few times, is no, ignorance of the law is no excuse to follow the law, right? So you can't say, well, I didn't know that was the law, I didn't know that was illegal, I didn't know we couldn't do that. So it certainly comes important for those who are new to the country, or even those who've grown up here their whole lives, sometimes don't understand some of the things there. It's, it's important to have that awareness, and it's great that that you're bringing that to your community there. So how has it been like since in the last year there? What are the different types of events you've been putting on, and what especially during a pandemic, I mean, things like this maybe virtually, what are the plans over the next year and so forth?
Well, before I get into that, I would like to share something. Actually, I was, how did I know about the neighborhood decision making? I've been invited to attend an outdoor movie. So the lady who was organizing that event, I asked her who paid for that. She said that we've applied for that grant from the City of London, and she gave me the link. And when I went back home, it was the last day to submit the idea. So I submitted my idea, during the last hours, and later on they put it into voting, and they actually informed me officially of that the idea was win the vote in my birthday. So, I took that as a sign, some kind of a sign. So actually, the plan was to do in-person sessions. Then the COVID hit, so we pause for a long time actually, until I realized that now it's time to move. Uh, People are using Zoom, people are using different platforms, so we can do that too. And by the way, I've found it that Zoom could really more helpful from different perspectives. You can attend that Zoom meeting from wherever you are. You can have it recorded later on. You can participate from any place, but when it's in person, I'm pretty sure a limited number of people would be able to attend and participate and engage in person. So we've moved to that in-person thing. As I told you, so far we've conducted 22 sessions attended by 600. Next step, we are actually now establishing some partnerships with Western University. So as I told you, we are now, next step would be conduct a survey among the City of London and maybe Middlesex community. Who knows, maybe to spread that later on to cover more geographical region, to identify what kind of legal, financial, and cultural information are really needed. So from that point, our sessions would be a response to that need, instead of just trying to, okay, let's do this, that might be important or that might not be important. So this is the first step. Two, I'm trying to establish a database of speakers in different topics, so that we could provide documented knowledge. From now on, we will start record those awareness sessions. After do some editings, we might be able, if the financial resources helped us, we might add subtitle translations in a different languages to those sessions, so that would reduce the language barriers for so many people, who, especially the people who came to Canada due to different circumstances, and they did not have the chance to learn English properly before they came to this lovely country. So this is what we have currently in mind. Of course, we are looking to cover more topics. We're looking to have some partnerships with different community organizations too. We're going to work with the Legal Aid Ontario on certain issues. We're currently working with the London Police Services. Western, they will help us with that survey by January. We will have a collaboration with the Community Legal Service at Western too. They are looking to spread some knowledge for the family law issues, and actually we've been in touch together, and we've agreed that we were gonna start by the next year. So there is a lot in our plate, and we are looking for a lot of help too.
Now, I did want to, and thanks for sharing about all of that and sort of the journey there, and how things have kind of grown organically. I did want to touch on one thing. I mean, obviously, actually, I even jumped in and listened to your class there earlier today, and it was great to hear from Michelle there. But one of the things that I have students who come from similar types of situations where they have to go through the to get their and the degrees accredited to the NCA process, and it may take them, 2 or 3 years, maybe depending on how they want to spread out writing those exams, and then writing the barrister and solicitor exams, and then perhaps even having to article at some point as well. So then they opt to go through and get a paralegal license, which you can get within a year, and then write the licensing exams. And then, other than so, the different scopes, different things you can and can't do, you could be fully licensed, take on your clients and things like that, which is presented another option for those with the legal backgrounds when they come over to Canada. So you can tell us kind of what led to you starting in the program. And again, you're almost at the end. So, I mean, by this point next year, maybe we can have a conversation where you're representing people, right? Whether it's, through some of the people that you're assisting with RRAI, or, your own practice. So maybe tell us a little bit about that, and kind of how it's been for you over the last 10
Yeah.
months or so.
Well, as I told you, when I came, I started navigating my way through the legal system. So, and then start to classify what kind of options I do have, and taking into consideration the capabilities and the abilities, the obligations, and a lot of elements to be considered. Then, you put your priorities. So one of my priorities was now to enter the legal field, and that was a great option by getting a 1 year of program supported by the OSAP, one exam, then you're licensed forever. And that may be a first step later on if you would like to continue your journey, but at least you would have something to build on. Because I can tell you, John Paul, I found the law that I'm studying right now is totally different than what I've practiced, what I've been taught in the university in Jordan. It's a total different thing. So at least this program could be, the first step that you can build on later on if you would like to. And plus, it's open a wild opportunities for you. So you can, as you said, you can just open your own practice. You can work for legal firms. You can work for the government. You can work as a prosecutor. You can work at non-profits. There is a lot of opportunities that they are there for you. And the only thing you need to consider that if you are able, if you are capable, then go ahead, do not hesitate, because the hesitation will just make you waste the time, and the time is running now. You will never realize at certain point that, okay, well, after 2 years, where I am, or after 3 years, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, I'm waiting for this and I'm waiting for that. So at certain point, you need to take that decision and move on. What I found really interesting about Treos is the environment. I It's a very warm, welcoming environment. And this is, of course, including the Treos staff, the Treos instructors, as well as, of course, my beloved colleagues. We've established a very good connections, and some of my colleagues are actually joined me at the as a board member for the RRAI. Some others donated for the to support that effort. So, and I'm learning everything. I'm learning something new. Not a big fan of legal accounting, the course you've joined, but it's really something very useful to learn. It's good to have the knowledge before regret.
All right, perfect. So So thank you so much here for joining us. I know you have to run. You have an engagement there later on this evening, but I was wondering maybe if you can end with any final words of wisdom there for any of your classmates, any other students that are listening to this, anyone kind of making that same journey, right? That you're coming over, and again, it's always difficult, kind of starting over in a new country. Now you're not aware of the laws, you're not aware of just how things work, and well, back home, wherever that may have been, you were used to things differently, and it's kind of getting through that, powering through that, and resetting, so to speak, and then kind of going from there. So any words of wisdom there, and thanks so much again for joining.
You are welcome. Well, actually, I will end with a one sentence. I've read it during the first days of the class, and I think it will gonna remain in my mind forever. It teach me a lot, and I really wish I realized that word of wisdom before. It says it's a sign of an educated mind to entertain a thought without accepting it. The diversity, entertain a thought without accepting it. You don't have to share the beliefs, but you must respect them. And this is what makes this country great. And this is actually, I learned that at Treos during the critical thinking course. That word will remain in my mind forever. And it's something really need to be given great thought on how we could apply it into our practical life. Because if we did, a lot of our problems, personal issues, bias will automatically disappear.
Perfect. So I wish you all the best there with, first of all, finishing up the program, going through the licensing process, I think probably sometime next year, and everything that you're doing with our AI. Maybe you could add, maybe putting any last links there, or anything that you can tell anyone how they can find out more, or if they want to donate or volunteer. And again, once again, thanks again for joining us.
Of course. Well, actually, everything it could be found at our website. It's rrlondon.ca, and all the information are there. And of course, everyone are welcome to join us.
Perfect. Take care. Everyone enjoy your weekends there. We'll see you hopefully next week when we have some more speakers. Again, weekdays at 5 p.m. Take care.
Thank you.